Hey, y'all, welcome to episode 116 of Consignment Chats, aka C Chats. And we've been talking about how much chatter there is out there about live selling. And we've talked a lot about it here and there, but we thought, why not bring an expert in the field in to talk a little more about live selling? What do you think, girls?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have her. We have Ciera here. Hi, Ciera. Welcome.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me. It's so nice to be here today.
Yeah, we're excited.
We are so glad you're here. And we want you to start off by telling us a little bit about you, some of the background, who you are, and kind of how you got into live selling.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm Ciera. I work for Consignment. We are the #1 live selling tool in the United States. So I have had a long history in retail. I spent 10 years in luxury retail management and working with businesses like Michael Kors and Lucky Brand Jeans and Ann Taylor and BB, managing luxury retail businesses. Specifically on something that I excelled at was building relationships. So I chose to work at businesses that were kind of like client book based and where people maintained client books and things like that, because I think building relationships for making sales transactions is extremely important, especially when it comes to things like repeat business. So I spent a lot of time in that space teaching people who are in brick and mortar shops how to sell really well to people face to face. Then I transitioned away from the retail environment. I had kids and, working 70 hours a week and Mother's Day and, Easter and Christmas Eve wasn't exactly working out for my lifestyle anymore. So I transitioned away and spent quite a bit of time in the community-based marketing space. So learning a lot about social media. I spent like 5 years learning everything there is to know about algorithms and influencer marketing and how to bring that relationships and building aspect of my life digital, which was really great. And then I realized I really missed fashion. I missed the clothes. I missed, dressing up, and I missed making people feel beautiful. And so I transitioned to owning my own online clothing boutique. That gave me the flexibility that I was looking at home, as well as that creative outlet that I needed to dress people and put together outfits and things like that, that really made me feel fulfilled. So I did that for quite some time, and actually that started my live selling journey. So before live selling was cool, this was probably back in 2015.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Comment Sold wasn't even really a thing yet. And I got to start beta testing it. But we kind of hacked the system by we would go live on Facebook and we would talk to people about our clothing, and we would, show people how to style it, and we would sell these items, and they would have to manually invoice them for these things via PayPal. So you can imagine how extremely exhausting that would get.
We've done it. Yes.
We've done it.
Not easy.
Not fun, especially because, you're going live when your kids are asleep, right? So I was going live at like 7:00 at night, going live for an hour or two, and then I'd have to stay up until 2:00 in the morning to send all of these invoices. And then of course people wouldn't pay them, or they would change their mind. And then I'd have to find the next person in live, and it just kind of a nightmare. So when Comment Sold came along, we were selling primarily on social media. And so we actually beta tested the product from the customer side. So our boutique used Comment Sold for a while. And then I was like, let me see if I can hack this system to work with my live selling. Because at the time, all it did was photos. You could post a photo and people could comment and it would automatically invoice. That was
wow.
That was just the capability. That was all it had at the time. And it was a huge help for me because obviously we were also selling via like wall drops is what we called them. Great help for me, but I was like, how can I make this, how can I hack this system a little bit? So what I ended up doing is I realized that if I put in, I do not recommend doing this now because it's a lot more sophisticated now. But at the time, I would put in like one item and I would make variants of that item, like 1 through 100. And then everything would have to be the same price. So we would do like $20. Everything we sold that night would be $20. And we would sell like 100 pieces, and we would number all of our pieces so that we would remember who got what. And then we would go live and then manually link this one item to this video that we were going live. So that was before there was even live selling capabilities. And
so how many people did it take to run a sale like that?
It was myself and one other person.
All right. So 2 people and lots of hours. Okay.
Lots of hours. And
she was up till 2 a.m. That's what.
We're so spoiled. We're so spoiled.
So spoiled. I know. I 10 out of 10 do not recommend going back and doing that way. Comment Sold has changed the game for so many of us, myself included.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like how original I was in the live selling game. It was before there were any of these like fun tools that kind of helped out. And before
you felt so strongly, if I could just back you up a second, like you felt so strongly about live selling and the impact it was making on your business that you jumped through all these hoops and just kept with it, even with the long hours. Like, what was that change you saw with live selling in your business when you implemented it?
That two-way interaction. And that's what I tell people a lot when they're thinking about live selling is it's the ability to have an real-time conversation with the person who's watching. So, people are commenting, you're able to read those and you're able to respond in real time. So when somebody asks you a question about something, you can answer right away. And it really makes that person able to impulse purchase so much easier because, they're sitting on the fence and they're like, I'm just not really sure what I would wear that with. Or, what kind of pants would go best with that top? You're able to answer them in real time and give them some inspiration, give them some ideas, give them some style advice. Same thing about like fit, right? Quality. You can describe things in real time when people have questions. And then the social validation aspect of things, we'll talk about that a little bit too. Probably later, social validation of them seeing other people making purchases, it gives some credibility behind you, right? And then it also gives them kind of that FOMO, that fear of missing out. They see people claiming items and they're like, oh gosh, I need to hop on and I need to get this thing because I was thinking about it. But if I wait any longer, it's not going to be there anymore, right? So live selling made a huge difference in that impulse purchasing.
Yeah, I mean, that's funny you would say that because like when we were in the storefront before we did live selling, I would always say like when it was busy and people saw like the street was packed, they would have to come in. And when it was dead, it was dead. Like it didn't attract it. The same person would be driving by and keep driving. But the second we were busy, it was super busy. And we see the same thing with that online, right? Like the more people there are, the more people that want to get in on it. So yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's basically taking those same principles, just like I was talking about before, the same principles that you have for your brick and mortar or, your location and bringing them all digital. So that social validation of, oh man, that store is hopping. There's so many people or there's a line out the door. I'm going to go hop in line because I just want to see what's going on. Right. Same thing happens especially with Facebook Live. And now that we have Comments Sold, you have that live indicator that tells how many people are watching. That's kind of that same thing as of the principle of like seeing the line wrapped around the block or seeing people waiting outside or a line at the fitting room. You're able to have those exact same scenarios, but you're doing it online. You're doing it via live selling instead, which is really cool.
So tell us, I want to know what your first live sale experience was like. Were there any like little blips or anything you were like, oh gosh, I can't believe I did that?
For sure. First, I honestly don't know that I can remember too much about my first live selling experience. I feel like it was a really long time ago. And I think that my brain cells have probably deteriorated a lot between now and then. But we definitely had lots of fun and blips. I have 2 kids. And at the time, my youngest was a baby. So there was no telling like what you were going to see going on in the background. Most of the time I was going live from my living room. So, there's a screaming toddler every once in a while. There's a husband walking through the background every once in a while. Sometimes I would forget, like my numbers would come off of the little hangers. I use the little hanger numbers to keep track of everything before Comment Sold had like live helpers and barcodes and things like that. So, things would fall off and then I would find myself having to go back and rewatch the live video for like 2 hours to renumber all of the pieces, because either my sticky notes had come off, or the live helpers had come off. So those were great. And then I also really enjoyed drinking while I was live. So, we always made a game out of it. And it was like, if you could guess what I was, if you could guess what I was drinking, you got store credit. So
we haven't done that one, Libby.
Oh, no, we haven't tried that kind of game. All right.
A fun fact, 80% of the time, if you guess some type of red wine, you were probably going to be right. But, we just really enjoyed having a couple of cocktails. And sometimes, you maybe had 2 or 3 too many. And that was always a great time. We always got lots of viewers when that happened, right? Because you could never, who knew what was going to come out of your mouth? And then I also had lots of words that I used way too often. I'm sure you guys probably have the same thing. Super soft. So super was one of those. We used to count how many times myself or my business partner would say
that's
super.
when everybody that's watching starts a drinking game too.
They turn it into a drinking game, right? So those were some fun times, some bloopers that happened every once in a while. There's always the ones where you forget you're still on camera and you're like changing shirts and things like that. And you're like, oh, wait, no, maybe I should take 2 steps to the left. You name it, it has happened to me. It has happened to me, I am sure.
I think that's just like amazing to hear that the journey of that, because I feel so spoiled now. We use Comment Sold, Molly and I, in Consignment in our business. And oh my gosh. I mean, this isn't a promo for Comment Sold or anything, but I'm telling you, from what you just described, and when we started, we did it manually. It is like ridiculously easy, right? We're done with the sale. All we have to do is ship. Everything is invoiced and carded. And oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah, I don't miss the days of manually keeping up with who is next on the list, right? That was always the thing that was the hardest for me. It wasn't even sending the initial invoice. It was like, okay, well, if, so-and-so doesn't pay, who's the next person who claimed it? Because, Facebook doesn't keep those comments in order, and like, they're all over the place. And so you're going back and trying to find timestamps and stuff because you want to be fair, and because your loyal followers are crazy enough that they will go back and they will be like, no, that was mine next. And like, they will get upset about it. Right. And now, like, the fact that nobody even has to think about any of that stuff is mind blowing to me. I tell people all the time when they get started with Comment Sold, it's like, I got started with Comment Sold before there was even a chat support. It was just like Brandon Cruz on a text message. Like, if something happened and something wasn't going right, I'd have to bother Brandon at home to get an answer. So I tell people all the time, like, if I can figure it out, there was no help center articles, there was no YouTube videos, there was no support, there was no onboarding. It was just, you can't break it. So here, just do what you want to do.
But they made all those facts and everything and all those help pages because of all the things that you went through. That's how it all ended there. So thank you.
There was like a handful of us, who really got the whole process, because we, started in the beginning before there was any of the structure, any of these amazing resources. And so all of those help center articles were probably written because a dumb question that I asked in the beginning.
Last week we were on a live sale and I was like, something wasn't working right. Totally user error on, somebody had registered under a new account on Facebook, and it was, they were commenting and it wasn't showing up and blah, blah, blah. But I was literally had 2 screens open. I had my live sale where Molly and I are selling, and then I'm like on with support, and they like walked me right through it, like during the live sale.
Yes, I'm just showing things while she's getting the answers. Like,
I was just sweating, and I'm like, oh, they got me. All right.
Yeah, 2023 Comment Sold is a totally different experience. I will tell you that. You guys, you can troubleshoot things in real time. I just usually just poke and press some buttons and like prayed for the best at that point. And it still was such a huge help that it really didn't matter at that point what went wrong. It was still going to be easier than what I was doing before. So it was still worth it. But yeah, we did that boutique for quite some time. And then I realized that like, I actually was not super passionate about the day-to-day life of being a boutique owner. But I truly enjoyed Comment Sold. I really enjoyed the platform. I enjoyed teaching people about social media, teaching people about live selling. So the opportunity arose for me to transition from business owner to the comment sold, like corporate side of things, and helping with the business itself. And I really just jumped at it because it kind of married all the things that I was passionate about from my retail career, which is the teaching and coaching and training of people of how to be better salespeople, and how to build relationships and build their clientele. Plus now this aspect of live selling that I had discovered that I really loved, I really enjoyed and was good at. And now I get to teach other people how to do that, which is just like the perfect job for me. And I don't have to ship any packages from my dining room anymore, which is pretty cool.
I have
So
a question on your teaching people. What is as you're helping people with live selling, what's the most common like fear or thing that holds people back when you're talking about live selling? Like what's got them standing on the edge? Like,
they're afraid they're going to say something wrong or do something silly. And it's like, it doesn't matter. That matters 0%. Honestly, if you say something wrong or something silly, you're probably going to have better engagement. Like it's actually probably a good thing, but people are so scared that they're going to quote unquote, like mess up. And it's like, there's nothing to mess up. It's just like you're having a video chat with 50 of your closest friends. You just talk to them like they're your friends. And people are going to love it. They're scared, they're going to mess up. That's really kind of like the number one. And then the second thing that they're most scared of is that nobody's going to watch.
Yeah.
And that one, I'm like, they may not watch while you're live, but there's still a replay, right? There were some nights where I went live and maybe 2 or 3 people were actually live with me watching, but that means that there are so many other people who maybe that just wasn't the right time for them, or maybe they were putting their kids to bed, or maybe they had to work that night or something. We would still see people come through and spend an hour out of their day to watch the replay, which is just wild, right? And you still see that happen all the time with Comment Sold, especially because, the replays are saved there in the app and on the web store. So it doesn't matter if there's only one person and it's your grandma. Like the whole point is that you're doing it and you're doing it consistently and you're continuing to build that following. And I promise after you have 2 or 3 live sales of maybe 2 or 3 people on, if you're consistent, it's going to grow. More people are going to join. So those are really the 2 most common fears. You're going to mess up and nobody's going to watch. And both of those things honestly do not matter. So it's just your own personal feelings about it.
Being authentic and vulnerable to me is the best thing you can do for your business, because like you're saying, the building relationships, that's part of people connecting with you, is putting yourself out there and being vulnerable and making those mistakes. There was one when live selling first during the quarantine time really started shooting and getting big. There was a company in Alabama that we would watch their live sales. And Olivia, I can't remember if you watched this one. I think you did, but one of and they had started well before it became such a thing. But one of their best episodes was they were doing one outside in the natural light, and a big gust of wind came and took their rack wheeling down the sidewalk. And they had to chase the rack down. These 2 older women are running down the sidewalk for the rack. And they were like, it was our best sale ever. They just loved everything about it. And I remember watching that and thinking, it's so true. Like, just be authentically you, and people will connect with you so much better and want to shop with you.
Yeah,
that's so true.
And like so many of us, as like so many of our like people in our audience are work at home by themselves, primarily by themselves. They don't have that interaction. So it can be great to have that interaction with your customers, because normally we don't have it, but it can also be a little more daunting because we're so used to being so alone. So taking that step can be a little bit tougher for some of our audience. A lot of people we've seen navigate it really, really well, but yeah, it can be
what you were talking about a second ago about, being authentic. I tell people all the time, people buy from people, they don't buy products, because I can guarantee you that somebody else somewhere in the world is selling the exact same thing you're selling. You're not unless you're a maker and you make all of your items handmade, somebody else has what you have. And the reason why people are purchasing from you as a human. It's how you present yourself. It's how, you make people feel, and so people buy from people that they resonate with, or they buy from people who they like. I particularly shop with a lot of small businesses who I feel like the people who are running the businesses are my very good friends. And maybe they're not even my real life friends, but now they're my internet friends, right? So it's really important, I think, to be authentic and like let people in and let them see the bloopers of, chasing the rack down the street. Or like with me, it was my kid in the background every once in a while asking for a snack. They got to know my children, they got to know my husband, they got to know my pets. And that's what we see a lot of people become extremely successful. A friend of mine who is like one of my absolute favorite live sellers. She is fantastic at it. She has a huge cult following. People get on just to watch her and just to like interact with her. They want to know what she ate for lunch. Like they want to like hear about her new puppy, and they get excited when she brings her new puppy on the screen. They want to know what her fiance is doing. They want to know the ins and outs of her life. And it's because she's vulnerable and she, is willing to show up, go live with no makeup on. She's willing to show up and go live when, her puppy's like playing on the floor. It doesn't matter what's going on in her day-to-day life. Everybody's just so endeared to her at this point because she is real. She is vulnerable. She is human. She does show up, when she says she's going to show up. So I think that that's a really important call out that you made about being authentic and being a person who puts everything out there, because that is really hard. And especially for people who don't typically do that, right? They're not huge on being like some social media personality. They are really comfortable in their warehouse space or in their dining room space with their stuff. And, maybe they're like, oh, live selling is not really for me because I don't like people. I don't like talking to people. There are plenty of people who are still successful because they're completely honest about that. They're like, this is really uncomfortable for me, but I'm doing it because I want to bring my customers the best experience and I want to let you guys into my life. So you'll see a lot of people become extremely successful at live selling, even though it's not like comfortable or first nature for them to do, just by being honest, being raw, being vulnerable, being real.
I mean, that was me in the beginning. That was absolutely me. Like I was panic stricken. But right now, what are we about 2 years into this journey of live selling? Now I look forward to it. I love it. I love that connection. I never would have thought that. I did not think it was going there. I thought I was going to be forcing myself every single week. And yeah, it definitely, it's now something I look forward to. Yeah. So
I hear that a lot. You're not the only one.
Okay. All right. Good.
And we found, Ciera, exactly what you said. Consistency is key. Because when we started with the same night, same hour, and said, we're going to give it 3 months. And that's what we always say to people. Like you were saying, people aren't going to probably watch the first show. You may just have one or two or nobody. But if you're consistent and keep at it, the next thing you know, wow, there's 16, there's 26, so we have this, give it 3 months is what we said. And we'll regroup 3 months down the road after we did our first initial kick at this. And I think it was like a month and a half and we're like, oh, we're good. And 2 years later, we're still doing it, but we've never changed the time. It's been the same time, same night. And very rarely have we ever had to cancel. And when we do, people are so like, they're sending messages on Facebook, like, I feel so lonely.
Yeah, I tell people all the time when we're talking about the importance of consistency, like if you think about it, people who are huge like Grey's Anatomy fans, for example, like that has a cult following, right? And people plan their lives around the newest Grey's Anatomy episode, and they know that I'm not a Grey's Anatomy fan, sorry, but they know that it comes out on like Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. or whatever the time slot is, and so like that's ingrained in their mind of like, oh, I don't make plans on Tuesday nights because that's like Grey's Anatomy nights. That's how people
It's Thursdays and it's the same time as their live show. Just saying.
Oh gosh.
It is?
Maybe that's a bad example. Sorry. We'll say American Idol. Is that a different night? I don't watch TV.
I have no idea.
Tell me some of the
We don't
TV
have
shows.
time for TV. I have no idea.
You know what though, guys? Nowadays you can just record it. You can watch it
Yes.
later. You're not going to
Yeah.
miss it. So you don't have to miss our live sales.
Yeah, there you go. But before DVR was a huge thing, and before there was, Netflix and Hulu and all the things, people planned their lives around their TV shows that were like their favorite TV shows. Right?
yeah.
I remember like
Yep.
when I was a kid, like TGIF was like a big thing, and there was like
Yes.
Boy Meets World and all of that
Yep.
stuff. So I knew I wanted to be home on Friday night at 8 o'clock, because that I still remember that. Like, that's really sad. 20 something years later, right? I still remember, Friday night 8 o'clock was when Boy Meets World came on, and I wanted to watch it. And if I wasn't there, I didn't get to watch it, and then I couldn't talk about it with my friends the next day, right? Same thing happens with these live sellers who are consistent. They build this cult following of these people who are in it for the community, and then like people go and they show up, and the same people show up, and then they build friendships. And it's just wild to see your customers like interacting with each other, asking how somebody else's kids dance recital went, or how was that family vacation. And it's because of that consistency that people are able to build these communities. So that's a huge call out when you're first getting started is, pick that time slot and stick with it, and give it enough time to see some results before you make a change. And then I challenge people not necessarily to change the time of their live sale if they feel like there's a better opportunity, but add another live sale. So we see a lot of times businesses start out and, they're doing, like you're talking about, Tuesday night at 8 p.m. or Thursday night at 8 p.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays. Thursdays are the big days. Like, we call it Thursday Night Live internally in Comments Sold. We joke about Thursday.
Oh, is it the biggest? Okay, that's
Thursday is
that's our
actually the
night.
biggest
Okay.
night. And so a lot of people start out with those Thursday night time slots of like Thursday night at 7 p.m., 8 p.m. is super, super popular, right?
Now, I wonder why there's always somebody in the support chat. You guys are like prepped for us.
Oh, we know a Thursday night. We've got the
Really? Oh, that's so funny. I never even thought about that.
Yeah,
It
Thursday
makes
night's a
sense.
big
It's a
night.
payday for a lot of people.
Yeah, payday. And then also just like when you think about like churches on Wednesday night, like Monday nights are usually really hectic, kids sporting events and activities. Thursday night tends to be that night where people don't have as many plans. So that's a really popular live selling night, is Thursday Night Live. And so we always challenge people, and they're like, well, there's a lot of people who say they can't make it on Thursday night. Well, that doesn't mean cancel your Thursday Night Live. It means maybe we add a lunchtime live on, Tuesday at noon, and it's shorter, and it's, maybe 45 minutes long, and people catch it on their lunch hour. And so, we challenge people to add additional lives and not just swap their live sales around to be different times. Because that consistency is just so huge. And that's really the only way to build a truly engaged community of people who are coming back time after time, is to stick with that time slot that you commit to.
So you have so much expertise in live selling, and I know you've brought that, like Comment Sold has its own live selling community that you developed and you're involved in. So do you want to say, like, somebody's new and they're new to live selling and they don't even know where to start? I know you guys have like some incredible resources to help guide people.
Yeah, we have tons of resources. So not only do we have like resources that you can read as far as just guides and things like that, we also have a entire like training website called Launchpad. If you join Comment Sold, you have access to Launchpad. It's just launchpad.commentsold.com. And there's actually entire training modules you can go through, like Live Selling 101, there's ones about like how to engage your customers on live sales. There's ones about like retaining customers, and building those engaging live sales. And you can go through and you can take these courses. We have another live selling expert on board. Her name is Nancy Hornback, and she did TV live selling for many, many years and is now a live selling coach and trainer. And she created these modules and teaches people about why live selling is important, and also just how to be better live sellers. So we have that. We also have the Facebook group, which was kind of my baby. That's one of the things that I helped really build. So we have a Facebook group that has around 5,000 active community members who are all Comment Sold retailers. And the vast majority of those are live sellers. And what's really cool about it is it's truly like community. And so people help each other. So you have live sellers in there who are doing, $1 million a week, who are giving advice to people who are just getting started. And it's just crazy to think about how awesome everyone is for sharing what's working, like what worked for them this week. They saw, they had their best week that they've had in months. And so this is what we did differently. And so we've really created this community of collaboration, where it's not just me or Tori's my counterpart, who's kind of taken over and is doing those things these days. It's not just us like talking to each other, it's everybody helping each other out and giving each other ideas. And we put together, challenges and things like that, where if you're just getting started with live selling and you want to become more comfortable, we have like 3-week-long challenges where we kind of give you the groundwork, we give you the education that you need, we kind of push you to go live more times than maybe you would have typically wanted to go live in the first place, and really kind of stretch people outside of their comfort zones. And then you were talking about chat support too. Our chat support is so familiar with live selling at this point that most of them would probably be pros at live selling if we just tossed them in front of the camera. And so our chat support team is really familiar with the struggles and the challenges that you face as live sellers. So they're able to answer questions really quickly, like on the fly, that are unique to the live selling space, that you probably would not have those questions if you weren't a live seller. They're all extremely knowledgeable in live selling. And so they're able to help in real time. Like you were talking about, you had 2 screens open, right? And one was like when you were live selling, and then the other one you were getting support from chat support. So we have tons of resources. We have YouTube videos. We have a blog that talks about like the trends that we're currently seeing. So we have, you name it, we've got a resource for it probably at your disposal. So yeah.
So we mentioned Facebook. We mentioned Facebook Live, but one of the capabilities of Comment Sold is to go live in multiple places at once. So you open your app and you can be live on Instagram, Facebook, in your own internal app. So that's what we have. And I think that's like amazing to be able to reach that audience all at once. Do you want to talk a little bit about, like, somebody comes to you, let's say, I don't know, I'm thinking about trying live selling. Where do I start? Like, what are my options with Comment Sold? Like, I come in, I have some questions. I'm not really sure I want to do it. I'm not sure if it's for me.
Yeah, so there's a couple of different ways to get started with Comment Sold. We have people who don't live sell who use Comment Sold, right? So maybe live selling is not your jam. You're listening to this or watching this and you're like, that's just not for me. Comment Sold, yeah, there you go. Like you're uncomfortable with live selling. You're just not there yet.
It's just not my thing. Yeah.
Totally fine. We have plenty of options. So Comment Sold is not just live selling. So we are a full stack platform. And what that means is we have like end-to-end services. So when you get started with Comment Sold, you have the ability to manage and input inventory. You have a web store that we provide you. If you are utilizing Comment Sold, there's an option to add on a mobile app. And then you can sell on Facebook. You can sell on Instagram. You can sell on TikTok by the time this is published. So we're rolling out, we have been in beta with TikTok, and we are opening up the beta where other people can start joining and getting started selling with TikTok. And that should happen tomorrow. So by the time this is actually published, you guys will be able to sell on TikTok as well if you would like to. So you can really kind of sell across all channels. And then Comment Sold can also handle the shipping and fulfillment aspect of things, as well as like we've got crazy good marketing automations. So there's so much that's
the marketing automation. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Like send everybody a blast when you're going live, have a coupon, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I love your app so much.
I love that too. Yeah. That's my favorite thing.
I love to be able to say Consignment. There's an app for that.
Yes.
It's my favorite line ever.
I say that and it's not even my business.
I love that so much. And the app, talking about the app is so important. And I tell people all the time, like, if you're on the fence about the app, you just need to rip the Band-Aid and you just need to do it. Because what's so great about the app is it is a sales channel that you own. That's yours. It's your sales channel, right? So Facebook is not owned by you. Like Instagram, not owned by you. At any point in time, for various numbers of reasons, those sales channels could go away, right? So, you could end up in Facebook jail. You could be shadow banned on Instagram, or maybe you get hacked and you lose access. Same thing for TikTok, right? You don't own those channels. You have no control over the distribution. You're kind of at mercy of the algorithms. You have no control over the notifications, right? People can have their notifications turned on your group and your Facebook page. And are they actually going to get them? Probably not. So, the mobile app is the channel that you own, that is yours, that you control the distribution of. And people are kind of held captive. They're enraptured, right? Like on Facebook, you can sit there and you can watch a live, but you're getting constantly bombarded by all of these other things that are vying for your attention. There's somebody commented on something, and so now you got a notification. Well, oops, you just clicked away from that live sale, and now you're all of a sudden doom scrolling for 2 hours, which is what happens to me, right? And then I realized, oh man, I totally just forgot the reason why I was on here in the first place. That doesn't happen on the app, because it's your app, it's your products, it's your live sale. And so customers are really kind of tuned in and like highly engaged when they're shopping on the app. It's also a better customer experience. It is so easy to navigate on the app. It's so easy to purchase things. The live selling experience is so seamless. People can add stuff to their cart and check out without ever leaving the stream, which I think is huge. So, they can be purchasing while still paying attention to what you're saying about the next item, and they can add that one to the cart too, right? So you never have to like leave the live sale to make a purchase, which is just a huge thing for me. And then the other thing is the notifications, the push notifications. When you send a push notification, it's going out to every single customer who has their notifications enabled. Doesn't matter if Mark Zuckerberg wants to send it or not, right? Like you're sending the notification and people are going to get it. So you see a lot better success with like that tap through rate than you would ever see on a Facebook notification, or an Instagram notification, or even a TikTok notification. And there's no being at mercy of algorithms. Like you post it, it's there. It's at the top of the feed. The most recent thing you posted, it's there. And so customers are really able to have the best shopping experience on the app. And then you have the best notification and distribution experience. So people who have the mobile app with Comments Sold, some of our boutiques and businesses see 80 to 90% of their revenue coming from their mobile app. Even if they started out as Facebook sellers, they started out on Instagram.
Wow.
They're seeing those customers love the app experience so much that they're transitioning away. And app shoppers spend more. We know that for a fact. We've got the data to support it.
Really?
App shoppers spend more. Yes, because it's so much easier to make purchases, and it's easier to see additional items that they want to buy. And then the collections are curated, right? So you can have a collection up top of like all the denim, and they can see all those pieces. Or, if you're selling purses, they can see all the shoulder bags together because you created that collection. So it's a much easier shopping experience. And then they're notified more often, right? So they're getting these notifications when you're going live. So they're more likely to actually tune in. And app shoppers actually repeat purchase more often as well. So once they've downloaded
the loyalty points.
Yep.
My shoppers love their loyalty points.
Oh yes, we love the loyalty, and the referral program is huge too with Comments Sold. So if you're on the fence about getting started with Comments Sold because maybe you're not a live seller, maybe that's not comfortable for you, I challenge you to just get started and then decide if you want to like dip your toe into live selling afterwards, because there are just so many features of Comments Sold that are great. Whether you're a live seller or not, you think about live selling and you think about Comments Sold because they're kind of almost synonymous at this point. But there are lots of businesses who are still highly successful utilizing our platform who are not live sellers. And that's okay. Like we have something for everybody.
Yeah. And you can always add it in, when you're comfortable. So I love, all right, here's what was like the most incredible part of it to me was it just hooked right into our Shopify site. Like I didn't have to do anything. It just hooks like your inventory. You just click and say, I want to add this to a collection. Like there was nothing I needed to do. I didn't need to import it into a separate, database or onto another platform. It hooks right into Shopify. So, I mean, if you're a Shopify user, Seriously, just check it out and consider it, because that was just mind-blowingly easy. We do
Yeah, it's
our
like 3
fulfillment
buttons,
with
I think.
Shopify.
Last time I checked, I think it's literally like 3, it's like 3 clicks and then you're good and you're
Good deal.
connected. Your Shopify's connected, and like it's a two-way. We tell people all the time, like it's a bi-directional sync. And that's kind of a big word to say that like it talks both directions. So, your inventory as you're inputting it into Shopify is flowing seamlessly into comment sold. And then as people are making purchases through comment sold, it's removing that Shopify inventory, and it's also sending those orders back through to Shopify if you choose. So, everything kind of talks in real time so that you don't have any of those like crazy inventory management issues. And it doesn't take like exporting all of your things as a CSV and then importing them somewhere else. Like there's none of those like hurdles to jump through.
Yeah, it's
And
crazy.
the sync is only getting better. So we're only like continuing to improve upon that. You were talking about collections and categories. That information is now going to be streaming through as well. So when you put something into that category, or you tag something, all that information is now going to start coming from Shopify into comment sold, which is really cool. That's
Oh,
something that's
wow.
new and exciting and coming through the pipeline. So we love our Shopify customers do amazing with comment sold because you already have your inventory. You already know how to ship. You're already running a business. And now you can just add comment sold as like that little extra layer by giving it the app or adding the live selling capabilities. It's just kind of like icing on the cake for a lot of Shopify users.
Yeah, I thought I was just going to sit here and look pretty this whole time, but now I'm like, Sorting with Samantha could have an app.
You could have an app.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
just think about that. So for us, we use Consign Cloud is the consignment software that we use. So that is hooked to Shopify. So when we sell something on the app, or during a live sale, it just rings right through. Like there's like it's just
less work.
Done.
Yeah, less work.
It's so crazy. It's so crazy easy. I know.
Dang
I know.
it.
Yeah, and what's great about that is just that one plugs into the comment sold, it manages your social media platforms as well, right? So, that makes your Instagram shoppable, your Facebook feed shoppable. That makes your ability to shop. People can shop your Instagram stories with comment sold and they become shoppable. And same soon with TikTok, it'll be TikTok live. You can go live on TikTok. You can also make your actual like TikTok videos shoppable. So if you just post a quick little video showcasing an item, it's like shoppable in the TikTok feed. They can literally click a button at the bottom of your TikTok and see all the products that are listed and just purchase them right there without ever having to leave TikTok, which is pretty cool.
All right. So I'm just going to ask, because I know Samantha's already like, all right. So do you guys do a like free onboarding trial, like test us out, meet with us, see if it works for your business kind of thing?
Yeah, so Samantha, we actually have a link where you can sign up with Consignment.
We'll put that down below for everybody.
We'll drop that in the podcast also, and that way we'll also let you sign up on it. What's really great about it is when you're doing things like this with a partner like Consignment Chats, you get really extra like hand holding through the process. So what that does is it lets somebody on one of our experts in our sales team know that you're interested. And so they'll reach out to you and they set up a call where you get a demo, but really the whole main purpose of the call is for them to find out a lot about you and your business. Because what we want is we want you to be successful. This isn't about you signing up with comment sold. Like it's great that you use this, right? But we're only successful if you're successful. So it's really about measuring and making sure that it's the right fit for your particular business model. And they're able to tell you like, this is how I see comment sold working for you, or maybe it's not the right fit. And they're honest about that, which I think is really important. And then they give you a demo and like a walkthrough of the product so you can see how everything works, where you can ask questions. It's like a one-on-one experience. So you can see everything visually. If you're a visual learner like me, I like to see everything. And then when you get started, we still hold your hand. So we have one-on-one onboarding. However you like to learn, we have that ability. So I'm a reader. I like to read and follow along, and that's how I learn best. So we have tons and tons and tons of articles that walk you through things step by step. Maybe you like video. and you like to watch somebody do something and then you like to follow along, we have an entire repository of videos as well that will walk you through everything you need to do step by step. Or maybe you're somebody who really wants like more one-on-one help. We also have people, like real human beings, who will hop on Zoom calls with you and really walk you through that setup process and answer any questions that you might have through our onboarding. And then from there, we don't just like forget about you, right? Once you're up and running, like we don't just like leave you alone and never talk to you again. We have our Facebook community, which I talked about. So our Facebook community is open to every single comment sold customer. It's really where you can like join, you can ask questions. The people who are in there are not only business owners, but there's a lot of our experts are in there as well. So even if you have questions that are like business strategy questions, they're not like comment sold questions. There's somebody in there who's able to answer that for you. We have chat support, which is all hours that you could actually want chat support. It's basically 24 hours. To at least it's all of the hours that you're going to want to be online asking questions. And so we have an amazing chat support team who's there if you have questions. And then once you're doing about $5,000 a month with comments, we have our customer growth team, which is a newer initiative for us, where it's really kind of where you get those like one-on-one touch points specifically about growing your business. It's not so much about answering questions that chat support could answer, but it's really about the strategy behind your business and looking through reporting and data and kind of identifying like where things could be doing better, giving you advice, because our customer growth team services thousands of people. So they are able to source ideas from people to kind of share that maybe what's working for someone else might also work for you and vice versa. And so, we really hold everybody's hand through your entire life with Comment Sold, basically. So from the very beginning, where you're at now, where you're just kind of interested in learning more, all the way to like our shops who are doing over $1 million a week, they still have somebody who kind of can hold their hand through the process. So really get a lot of good support through it, especially since you're coming in through consignment chats or through a partner. So you really get that extra like white glove service.
Thank you.
Only the best for our C chatters. Only the best.
So I can vouch for that, because Comment Sold originally reached out to us, what was it, maybe like a year ago? And we just did like the discovery call with the team, like having really no intention of changing where we were. Like we were, doing what we do. Everything was good. But we wanted to learn more. And by the time we were done with the call and they were like, all right, well, you know what, this might work for your consignment business. And did you ever think about this and that? And then next thing you know, we have an app, our live selling is so much more efficient and effective. It hooks into our Shopify. Like we went in not even thinking like we were going to come out with an app.
We literally got off that Zoom and our phone lines were crossing because we both were trying to call each other at the same time. Like, oh my God, can you believe this?
I remember the first time you guys had your live with the app, and we had a couple of us in there. We had a couple of us in Instagram, a couple of us in Facebook, and then we were all trying to message each other and talk about how it looked and what was different and it was exciting just from a buyer's perspective.
Yeah. And what's so cool about it is that Comment Sold is becoming extremely popular. So odds are that your customers are already shopping with somebody who's using Comment Sold somewhere, right? And so they're familiar with how our app works. They're familiar with the process on Facebook and Instagram. So from 2017 to now, the education that you have to put in on the shopper side of things is so much less, because not only have we made it easier for people to shop, but people are becoming extremely familiar with how to shop on social media using Comment Sold or like that similar technology. And then the same with like the app and the web store. It's so easy that, even my, mother-in-law, who's a little bit technologically challenged sometimes, she really loves shopping on the app. So I download the apps to her phone because then she doesn't have to like call me to ask me questions on how to buy things. She can just buy them. So we really do make it easy, not only for you guys getting started, but also for your shoppers as well.
Yeah, I would say if you're thinking about like do the free discovery call and just see if it may work for you. You may come up like Molly and I did with something totally different than you expected, or a way it was going to work for your business that you didn't anticipate, or maybe it's not going to be for you, but at least you understand the options and you're not missing out on something really cool.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, no is an answer. I mean, you can go through, you can find out all the information and you can be like, this isn't for me. And that's totally fine. You know, we don't take it personal. We just want to make sure that it's like the right fit for your business. And so that's what those demo and discovery calls are really for. So we'll make sure that we get everybody the link for you guys to sign up for one of those demo calls. You know, no obligation. It's not like those, like, it's like those infomercials, like no obligation to buy, literally no obligation. We just want to see.
I can vouch for that. There was no, we were like, can we now? And you're like, just wait a second, like, make sure, think about it. I'm like, no, we're ready.
Well, you were. Molly probably need to think about it. But
that happens more times than the people saying, no. Most of the time people are like chomping at the bits to get started. And we're like, well, we do need to like get a little information before we just like hand you over and turn you loose. So
100% sure this is right for you. Yeah, for sure.
So I have to say, I don't obviously do any live selling, but I got away from even buying from live selling for a while because it got so popular that nothing was in order. Like you said, who was the next person or who got this? And it shows different on every device of everybody. And so I got kind of back into it when I noticed that Molly and Libby were doing things like this, where I could just comment a sold 134 and it would either say that I won it or it would put me in the queue. And then if the first person backed out, I would get, like, that was so much easier. It made me have more faith as a customer that I could go and do these things, because some people were live selling and then arguing or giving bad attitudes, and it makes it a lot easier on both ends with tools like this.
That's big for consignment space specifically, because there is that, like, what you guys are selling, like individual pieces a lot, right?
Yeah, it's like a one-off, right?
Like one items. And so people are really anxious about the whole, well, I was next in line. I was next in line. I was next in line. And with Comment Sold, you don't have to manage a wait list. Like you don't have to manually take care of any of that, right? Like if I comment on something and I'm first in line and I don't pay, or I change my mind and I dump it out of my cart, it is automatically going to go to that next person. And then that wait list authorization, I hope you guys are using waitlist authorization, because that is just like a game changer.
I've had, as a customer, I've had like this, you know, a few hours after the live, I've had something pop up. Oh, the item that you were waiting for is now available.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yes. And then the ability for customers to already authorize their credit card. So if I'm second in line for something, I am a waitlist authorization girl over here. I cannot tell you how many times I've woke up in the morning and saw my email and saw that like I made 4 purchases in the middle of the night that I didn't know I was making, because I had waitlist authorized random things. But that's just an amazing way to help secure additional money, right? Like that's free money for people, for your business, because, you know, if the first person drops off and that second person has already authorized their credit card, you know, it happens in the middle of the night. That's what typically happens, right? Is like in the middle of the night, like somebody changes their mind or it expires out of somebody's cart and it goes to the next person. Well, that next person could have already authorized their credit card. So that transaction goes through. They don't have to log back in, check out any of that. So if you're listening to this, waitlist authorization is my favorite Comment Sold feature ever. So
sounds like as a shopper and a Comment Sold side on that.
Yes, favorite on both sides.
Love it.
That's awesome. So, all right, things we got out of this. Let's do a little wrap up here. Put yourself out there. Don't wait. Live selling. Be authentic. Put yourself out there. Don't fret the small things like changing your shirt in front of the camera, or
I've done it.
It's a big thing.
Or chasing your blowing cart. It's okay. People want to connect with you. What else did we get out of this? So much.
Be consistent. We talked about
consistency.
And authentic.
Consistency, authentic. I mean, speaking from 2 girls who did it ourselves, if you're on the fence, just do it.
And you know what? The consignment chats can, like, we are there for you. Like, I get it. I literally cried before I did the first live. Like, that's how afraid I was. Like, I was never in photos. I was never on camera. Like, I get it. Like, you can come to us and I'm not going to think it's nuts, because I've been there. I've done that journey, and I will hold your hand.
And I'm in your community now, right? So like people can tag
And
me
you,
in.
yes, I was going to say, not only that, but our C chatters even get the extra special white glove hand holding because Ciera's in our community. So we can tag her and ask specific questions along the way as we need on any experiences or any questions with live selling, because she has been there, done that.
Yeah, I have definitely been there, done that. I have lots of tips and tricks. So if you guys are getting ready to start live selling for the first time and you just want somebody to pump you up, I've got you. Or if you've got a specific question, or if you're looking to increase engagement, or how can I make this live sale more exciting? I have watched hours and thousands of hours probably of live sales. And then I've also participated in probably thousands of hours of live sales. So I can definitely help you with anything you need. If you have any questions, just feel free to tag me in the group and I'm happy to help.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to be hitting you up in the community for that because, we're still babies with this live selling thing. And, it can always be learning, always.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
And I'm going to have to get an app.
Well, we got to have Samantha. Sorting with Samantha must have an app. We're
getting you an app. We're getting you an app after this call.
I already have ideas, Samantha, about the getting of your app. So we will talk about that because I have some ideas in my head. I'm good with ideas. So guys, listen, down in the comments, Libby's going to link us up with all the important links. From things that we have, from things that Ciera has talked about today. Ciera, we are so beyond thankful for you to take the time and be with us today.
Thank you for having me. This is fun.
I know. This is what
I was back live selling today. It was just so fun to hang out with you guys.
I love it. All right. So do you have a drink there, Ciera? Because we have a little cheers we do. Do you have a cup by you?
Always. Hold on, can you see it?
I thought you were gonna pull out a pencil cup. Yeah, no, yeah.
All right,
I have a cup problem, so I have about 70 Starbucks cups.
Awesome.
And I just recently transitioned to Stanley's. I don't know if you guys have Stanley's.
Those resell pretty well, in case you were wondering.
Yeah, they do. They resell well.
You want to consign those? I'm sure you can hop in the community if you want to get rid of your collection.
Perfect. I'll keep you guys posted.
All right, ladies, until next time, cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for joining Libby, Molly, and Samantha, the ladies of Consignment Chats, as we build a resourceful community of collaborative resellers. Find all the ways to connect with us on consignmentchats.com. Episodes are available on YouTube and anywhere you get your podcasts. In addition, join our free private Facebook community.